everyone, that's Black here, and welcome back to my game corner. How are you doing today? Hope you're fine, because I certainly am. Lately I was scrolling through YouTube and suddenly found this. Another itch.io game that I thought might be interesting. And I was right. To be honest, I wanted to make a video on such game for a long time, but couldn't find a good example of a game which is going to be simple and at the same time have a deep meaning. And here it is, Bad Parenting. The game was made by 2002 on Unity. Yep, by only one little dude who created a game which made a tremendous impression on me. As always, don't forget to check the link to the game in the description. Let's begin. So, as always, let's start with overall gameplay and story. We play as little boy named Ron. His mom comes home late again and doesn't bring a gift, though it's his birthday. She says that Mr. Redface brings presents to good children while they're asleep, so Ron heads to his room right away. Well, after his father shouts at him and at his mother. Parents are left for the conversation while we go to sleep. In the middle of a stormy night, we see a strange, creepy figure of Mr. Redface, a creature that brings us a doll. His name is also Ron, and he looks exactly like our main character, though his neck is a bit loose. The doll says that it's a mistake his master made, and this is just a small flaw compared to others. Remember this for later. Actually, try to remember everything what characters say here, because this is going to be important later. Anyways, back to our journey. The doll says that there are toys inside a closet in our room, but the closet doesn't budge, so we have no choice but to go eat. The doll is hungry. And by the way, at this point the doll says that its senses and feelings are connected to us, so it can understand us better. So we head on to the kitchen to eat some food. There is a note from our mom left on the fridge. She writes that our food is in the fridge and we need to heat it up first. And also take our medicine, which we, by the way, don't take once in the whole game. So we heat up food and start eating. The doll says that it can perform some magic and make this bowl of food never run out. Which actually works. Pretty neat ability if you ask me. But then something creepy happens. The doll takes a beer bottle and drinks from it. Once, twice, and on the third time we get a creepy hallucination of Mr. Redface, after which the bottle shatters. For Ron, it's a huge deal, because his father, who is, well, an alcoholic, and this is obvious by the way, will be really mad if he sees the bottle broken. Though the doll says that its master has taken our dad away. In the parents' room we find out that since our dad is a bad person, Mr. Redface has taken him in his world. He often yells and even hits the child, so Mr. Redface decided to protect Ron. Well, sorta. Though our main character still wants to find his father. To find him, you need to get to another world where his father's prison is located. To do this, you need to go through the portal located in the closet. First, we try to open our closet, but it's still locked, so we have to go through our parents' closet instead. But here's the problem. The portal just doesn't work like that. To make it work, we need to bring our father's radio and tune it to the right frequency. When we open the door for the first time, we stumble upon a beautiful world from where we can hear birds singing, but this is not what we need. The second time, we see a girl in the closet who appears in the game's intro. It's most likely the mascot of 2002. Well, finally, we find a passage into the world we need. On the other side, we see a bonfire, a car, and a cat. This cat is like local secretary, I suppose. From a conversation with her, we learn that Ron's father's name is Bruce and he's very aggressive. He yells, hits, and generally behaves bad towards his son and probably his wife. However, the door to his prison is still being opened for us. Heading towards it, we suddenly encounter 3 kids. It turns out that they're also looking for their parents, just like us, but decided to make a short stop. Unfortunately, we can't stay with them. We have to hurry. When we enter the father's room, well, prison, all we see are objects without textures, and the scared father on the bed. Creepy. What are they doing to him here that he's shaking so much? All he says is asks to stop punishing him. There is a card on a bedside table next to the bed that says spell. It can be picked up, after which we will go to... well, yeah. An unknown hand pulls us out of the overworld-like dimension, and we find ourselves at home. It was Mom who opened the closet and found us inside. In the middle of the night. It's terrible, Ron, really. What is wrong with you? Why are you scaring your mother like that? By the way, Mom knows that we have hallucinations, and we have a doll that always connects all our stories. Okay. She sends us to our room, where we see our doll floating. Coming closer, we see Mr. Redface that will later lift us off the floor. Then the frightened mother will come running to us again. She promises to take a day off tomorrow to stay home and look after us. In the morning, however, Mom is not around. She didn't keep her promise and apparently left for work. In our room, however, we see a doll. It looks pretty beat up. The master beat the doll because it allowed us to go to the father, and also Mr. Redface took our mother away from us. However, we have something that can stop the villain. That spell card from earlier. To do this, we need to come where Mom is being held and throw the card at the door, and then hide behind the car. When Mr. Redface arrives, a bright green light is visible from the room. Hooray! The villain is defeated! The parents are at home now. It would seem that everyone is happy, except perhaps a doll that is dying, because its master's magic dissolved. The doll tells us to run to our parents. Satisfied, we run to our mom and dad and catch them while... not the most pleasant conversation. They're fighting, strong and cruel. The father hits the mother a couple of times and she leaves the house. Here the mother says an important detail. We're getting divorced. Someone will have to move out of this apartment. If you're still here tomorrow, I'll take my son and leave. Mother slams the door and father leaves to the kitchen to drink. 1 sip, 2, 3. And here he is, Mr. Redface. The same man who has been giving us nightmares all this time. He goes to our room saying that he won't let it happen. Standing in the doorway, we see our father lifting us over the bed, and then... Yes, you got it right. The father killed his son. After that, we find out that our corpse has been stored in the closet for 14 days. All we saw was apparently another cycle that we had to go through to accept the truth. Our father was a freak who killed us that terrible night. When we visited him, he was hiding in a model room and saw us as a ghost and a corpse, so he was scared. And as for the mother, she was at the police station at the time, and that spell card was a hodl card, the evidence that led to the father being found. Having accepted the terrible truth, we find ourselves in a world between worlds, where we stay with other kids. Surprisingly, this terrible story has a rather calm and pleasant ending. It seems that everything ended as it should have. Ron stayed with other children, his mother buried her son and continued to live, and his father was imprisoned for his crime. Perhaps this is one of those games which is really worth paying attention to, because it's, well, lively. It's not just telling some creepy made-up story, but a story that, unfortunately, can happen in our harsh reality. It's cruel, but I think games should talk about it. These are important topics that are tedious to raise, which dispels some rose-colored glasses about the world. Anyway, that's the kind of story it turns out to be. In fact, I think it's worth adding some of my thoughts on what's going on. I guess Mom didn't notice our disappearance because Ron only appears alive at night. The day she decided to stay with him and took time off work, it was only then she learned the terrible truth after finding a corpse in the closet, and immediately went to the police. That's probably why she mentioned in the note that we don't eat much. Well, because being a corpse we can't really eat. Most likely the food just did not disappear and it worried the mother. In fact, this is all about the plot. Let's move on to the technical part of the game. Technically, the game is very stylishly executed. It was made as an old cassette film. It is somewhat reminiscent of puppet combo style, which is a good thing, by the way. I really like this style, so consider it a compliment. The surroundings are gloomy and dark. I generally associate green colors with something creepy, especially after Saw movies. In fact, it causes both feeling of nostalgia and aggravation. The models fit very well into the overall style of the game. The music and sounds are also very pleasant, especially the music at the beginning. It is also important to note how the narrative is going. Subtle hints and reference to the main plot twist of the game look interesting and make you think. In the beginning, you don't understand at all why the characters say certain phrases, but some feeling inside makes you look closely and listen. The further you go, the more you notice the little things. I went through the game twice and actually noticed some little things that I ignored at first. For example, the fact that we probably don't need pills initially. It's not Ron who is sick, it's Mom who thinks so because we tell her all sorts of nonsense at night. The children we meet also seem to have died from their parents. The scariest thing here is probably an infant in the car. It seems like these places should be a reference to where their corpses were put. But the devil knows, to be honest. In general, the game is extremely good. It's just a pity that for once. It will not be particularly possible to replay it because all horrors of the story become predictable and the plot is already known in advance. Speaking of jump scares, they are there. In fact, they're not the main focus here. Yes, there are moments that scare with sharpness and volume, but to be honest, these two moments look somehow more creepy than anything else. I don't like when something human-like moves like that. It's kind of uncomfortable right away. Ugh. In general, I even liked it. Although initially, after mentioning the red face, I immediately thought of the father. From time to time, as the game progresses, I couldn't understand what was going on until I realized what really happened. I really liked the game and I'm looking forward to the next part. There is only one huge flaw. Yeah, the game is translated into Russian terribly. If you watched a video about me, you know that beside English, I know Russian and German. And if with German I was a bit lazy to check, Russian I checked, and was shocked. I'm not even joking. Why the hell are you like that? And you know what's funny? In the beginning I thought that maybe, just maybe, the guy who translated just decided to throw text into Google Translator and forget about it. But seeing some of the mistakes, I understand that it was clearly translated by a person. And the funny thing is that practically everything what says the father is translated pretty good. Well, practically everything. In any case, many things are not even translated. For example, the whole menu and the beginning scene with the name of the story and stuff. It looks really out of place. Just in case the developer would like to change the translation, you can contact me. Trust me, I'll make it look and sound better, I swear. I mean, despite the fact I never worked with sprites and never translated the game professionally, I did it for my friends. So, yeah. That's the only thing I needed to point out. I know it might not be interesting for people who don't speak this language, but I think everyone deserves to have a good translation of the game. I really wait for the second part, and I'm really interested in how the second part is going to work, because to get the same bright experience, the game has to get an unexpected turn of events, and it's hard, when we already know the gimmick from the first game. Anyways, we just have to wait and see. Wish the developer the best of luck. If you have the opportunity, don't forget to support the game using the link in the description under the video. And you can support me with the likes and subscriptions, as well as a comment. Have a nice one. Bye.